It was a rainy Friday night and I'd had a long day at work, so I decided to watch a movie and order a pizza. It was around 11 PM and the pizza shop was very busy and told me to expect an hour for delivery, especially as I live in the middle of nowhere. About 20 minutes later, I thought I heard the sound of my backyard door rattling. I paused the movie and listened. I didn't hear anything, so I put it down to the storm outside. Moments later, I heard it again. I paused the movie and once again I listened. And there it was. My back door handle was in fact rattling. I went into the kitchen and saw somebody trying my door handle from the outside. My back door has a blind across the window so I couldn't see out. I called out, "Who's that?" And the handle suddenly stopped. It was silent, save for the sound of the rain. "Is somebody there?" I got no response. Suddenly, the power in my house went out, plunging me into darkness. I grabbed a flashlight from the drawer and aimed it at the back door. "Who's there?" And a voice replied back, "Is everything alright in there?" I told him fine and that I was calling the police. "If everything is fine, why is your power out?" I grabbed my cell phone from my pocket and told him I was calling the police and that I'd ordered a pizza and the driver would be here any time. He told me not to worry because he was the pizza driver and he has my pizza. All I had to do was open the door. I slightly pulled back the blind to try and get a look at the guy, but it was too dark to see. "Your pizza's getting cold. Open the door." I quickly called the pizza shop and they told me that the driver hadn't even set off yet. That was enough. I called the police. I told the man they were on the way, but I got no response. I decided to have another look through the window, so I slightly opened the blind again, only he wasn't there. Then a sudden, terrifying thought hit me. I wasn't sure if I'd locked my front door. I quickly ran through my living area into the hall, and just as I got there, the front door was opening. I crashed into it and quickly locked it. I checked through the peephole, but I couldn't see a thing. Moments later, I heard the sound of the police sirens getting close. "The police are here, so you'd better leave." There was a sudden bang on the door, almost knocking it from its hinges and knocking me off my feet. The police arrived and did a sweep of the property. All they found was footprints in the mud. An officer was kind enough to hang around for a few hours, but nothing else happened. And nothing has ever happened like that since. I have no idea who the guy was or what he wanted, but I'm now more careful about locking my door at night. I've been a delivery driver for almost 4 years now, and mainly get stuck with the late shift of 9 PM until 4 AM. But, in all honesty, I don't mind this shift. You find most of the streets extremely quiet at night, so you don't get any traffic. So I'm basically getting paid to drive around, which suits me perfect. Anyway, one night I got a delivery to a new address. The caller said he lives in a log cabin and it wouldn't show on any sat navigation system, but gave me a rough idea of where it was, and that he'd triple my tip for doing so. Strapped for cash, how could I say no? The drive took about 10 minutes, and the road the caller told me to take ended at the entrance of some woodland. I noticed a narrow dirt track that filtered into the woods, and about half a mile in, I could just make out a small log cabin with a single light. I gave myself a minute, considering whether or not the triple tip was actually worth it, but with my car service coming up, I needed it. I turned onto the dirt road and slowly made my way towards the cabin. Suddenly, the only light inside went out. I pulled up out front, but left my car running and headlights on. I climbed out the car with the pizza and made my way to the front door. I knocked and waited, and then knocked again. A voice came through asking me to use the back door. This was getting creepy. I walked around the back, crunching the falling leaves as I went. As I turned the corner to the back, my heart sank. There was a man clutching 2 huge, vicious dogs going berserk, pulling their leashes taut. I could see the saliva dripping from their mouth, baring their razor-sharp teeth. I started to back away, and then I dropped the pizza and made a run for it. The man let go of the ferocious dogs and they chased me. I made it back to my car and leaped in. The dogs were leaping at my door, desperately trying to get me. As I turned on my engine, I heard a loud bang and my windscreen shattering. The man was shooting at me. I ducked down and just hit reverse. I backed away as quickly as I could and straight into a tree. Another shot rang out, striking my car. My tyres were shrieking in the wet mud, but I managed to get free, turn around and make it back onto the road. I could see the vicious dogs still chasing me in my rear view. I pulled up a few miles down the road to catch my breath and to call the police. The police went to the cabin and found nobody there, no man and no dogs. All they found were candles inside the abandoned cabin and some shotgun shells on the ground. Apparently, another driver had been found murdered in these woods a year before. It can't be a coincidence that a year later, in the same woods, I'd be attacked by a man with a gun and some vicious dogs. For context, I'm a 17-year-old female. I live with my parents and they don't go out very often, but this particular night, they had decided to go out for dinner. They left me some pizza money, which was fine by me. I have to admit, I'm a big pizza fan, and usually have a pizza every Friday night as a treat for eating healthy during the week. I called my usual pizza store and made my order. The usual delivery driver Jason turned up about 30 minutes later. He was surprised that I'd only ordered one pizza. I told him it was just me tonight as my parents had gone out for dinner. This seemed to pique his interest and he began asking where they'd gone and what time they'd be home. The questions made me feel uncomfortable, but I felt like I knew this guy. I'd been ordering from this store for 2 years and never had an issue, and he'd always come across as friendly. About an hour later, my phone rang. It was Jason, from the pizza store, asking if I'd enjoyed my pizza and if I needed anything else. I thought this was really strange and told him I was fine, but thanks for asking. Shortly after, there was a knock on my door. I looked through the peephole. It was Jason. I asked through the door what he wanted, and he told me he brought me round a free bottle of Pepsi for being a loyal customer. I told him I was okay, but this seemed to agitate him. He asked if I wanted any company now that his shift had ended, and we could maybe watch a movie or something. I told him no thank you, but he just didn't seem to get the message. He tried my door handle, but it was locked. I told him to back off or I'd be forced to call the cops. He banged on the door, telling me to let him in, and that I'd been flirting with him for 2 years now. I had absolutely no interest in this guy, and made it perfectly clear that under no circumstances had I ever flirted with him. He wouldn't leave and kept trying to get into my house, so I called the cops. At this point, he completely lost it, screaming and swearing as the police dragged him from my property. This entire incident shook me to my core. I'd seen this guy every Friday for 2 years, and he'd always seemed a really nice guy. It just goes to show that not everyone is who they seem to be on the outside.